doing stand-up. You're there to watch the regulars who are on that panel show, right? So when the first time I did Mock the Week, I know the audience there were there to see Hugh Dennis, Doro Green, and also Ed Gamble and James A. Caster because they were quite well known to those audiences. So I know there were a couple of times when, and you probably had the same experience where you do a joke and it doesn't land that well, and you think, I feel like if the person sitting next to me said the same thing, it would have landed a lot better.
Just one quick thing. I think people are still waiting for us to go live.
Yes, I've just double checked that. We should be absolutely live right now. It said, we are officially live now. I had some technical difficulties, but I have finished.
Have you noticed? That's why we didn't go live on time. Your mortgage and your kids don't depend on you doing this job properly. Right, now we're live. Now, for those of you who have just joined us through no fault of your own, through the fault of our white tech guy, he's just up there, Vittorio. You're on Doing Bits, and it's a podcast, live stream podcast, where we talk about stand up, what we miss about it, and get to talk about some new or old material that us comics normally would be doing on stages up and down the country to hone and bring to you at weekends and on TV. So we've just been talking to our guest. Our first guest is Tez Ilyas. He's having a Snickers milkshake and he's having a lovely time. And he's just been talking about the difference between doing stand up and telling jokes for TV and telling jokes live. And you were just saying that you prefer the stand up environment to TV.
Yeah. Shall we just start again? Have we?
Should we start again? It's probably better to start
again.
Yeah, let's
make
start
sure
again.
we're all okay.
Okay, fine. Let's start again. Okay. What, from the intro?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
the people are watching right now, so we'll just...
Ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to the mic, Eshaan.
Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Doing Bits with me, Eshaan Akbar, and Vittorio Angelone. Vittorio, say hello.
Hello, how's it going?
Vittorio, we're all three of us are comics. Two of us are professional. And Vittorio
Is...
A hobbyist?
It's my dream.
No, all three of us are comics, and at the moment we're really missing live stand-up. So we thought that we'd start a brand new podcast where we get to talk about all things stand-up, but really new material, because on Mondays to Wednesdays, generally, we are up and down the country talking to between 4 and 20 people, trying to hone our ideas in our heads and to hone them so we can do them for you at the weekends and on TV. Now, because some of these ideas are going to be a bit unformed, a bit underformed, they might be a bit loose, we might end up going through some really crazy tangents and say things that are probably going to be a bit offensive, right, Vittorio?
Very much definitely going to happen.
So if you're of a nervous disposition, listen to it later. I'm not saying you not to listen. I'm saying you to listen to it later because I don't want you to derail the live. Now, during the live, you see a chat thing on the side. Some of you are typing already.
Yeah, some people are telling us not to swear.
Some are telling us not to swear.
Who the fuck said?
Tez, they're your fans, mate. They're your fans.
Oh, I'm so
They're
sorry.
definitely your fans.
Sorry, I didn't mean it. Hang on, where can I find this? Hang on, I've got the link. I want to have a look at these. I want to have a look at who's saying it. I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to say that. I didn't realize. I thought we weren't live still. I didn't realize we'd gone live. I thought we still.
Anyway, there will be some swearing. So there'll be some swearing. There'll be some horrible ideas. There'll be stuff that may not be, because what you're doing now is you're getting an insight into what it's like to be in a green room with comedians. We sometimes sit down and talk about some of our ideas. So if you're of a nervous disposition, this might not be for you. So because we're going to talk about some underformed ideas, I thought who better to get on than Tez Ilyas.
What the hell? The previous intro was so nice. Why did you give me shit one this time?
Do you know what? I think I
The
just got
intro
hyped.
before was so good.
I got hyped by the people telling us not to swear, so I thought I'd just start throwing shade at you.
I did pray my salah before we started.
This is true. The reason we were slightly delayed beyond the tech issues was because Tez was praying and he was getting a Snickers milkshake.
Delivered.
You're gonna get diabetes.
No, I've been
Hey,
exercising.
Eshaan,
today, actually.
which of the 3 people in this chat is going to get diabetes?
It clearly takes one to know one.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely takes one to know one. Now, The first question I'm going to ask you is, Tez, where stand-ups, live stand-up is our bread and butter. What do you miss about live stand-up?
Man, I miss the adrenaline you get of performing to a live audience, the immediacy of the feedback, letting you know that what you've created in your spare time is of value. I know that sounds quite sad. We probably should see a counselor to get that checked.
Yeah.
But it is an amazing rush, and yeah, I miss chasing the dragon.
Yeah, no, well, exactly. And so you've done like TV work, you've done radio work. How does live stand-up differ for you? Like, what do you love about it? Or do you love it more than the other ones?
Yeah, I prefer video with TV stuff, with acting stuff that I've done. There's edits, right? There's edit points. Yeah. You can say something again. If something doesn't land, they cut it out. You never see those things. They don't make it onto TV. Whereas with stand-up, you live and die by what happens on that stage in that moment. And I miss that so much.
That's what I'm all about, because I used to be a classical musician before I was a comedian. So I was like,
oh really? Oh yeah, of course.
I was at the back of an orchestra playing like the cymbals, and I just felt really inconsequential. Like,
okay, wait, sorry. Cymbals aren't really. I mean,
I've got a degree in it. Calm down.
What did you mean? What did you do that thing?
Yeah, that was me. That was me up at the back.
Can you get a degree in that?
Yeah. I did exams in it.
Is a triangle a cymbal?
Yeah, no, it's not a cymbal, but it's a percussion instrument, which I am trained in officially.
So you can play
what do you mean trained in? Ding.
There's actually the xylophone's quite hard.
That looks hard though, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a mix.
It's hard to spell.
Anything
and
you hit,
the xylophone
I
looks like an instrument.
Yeah.
Cymbals look like, do you know that sometimes in your kitchen you find lids for saucepans and you're like, I don't know where that's from.
You've been to see Stomp too many times, man. Yeah. That's something different. But the point was that, like, I felt like I wasn't taking any risks doing it, whereas with stand-up, you get all the credit and you take all the risk. Whereas when I was in the orchestra, it's like, if I do it right, no one really cares. If I do it wrong, no one really cares still.
Vittorio, have you done any like radio or TV work yet? Like any like writing or stuff like that?
No. I've written stuff, but I've wanted to ask Tez about, like, for me, the way I see it as like more of an outsider who hasn't done much of that is like the 3 levels. So you got live stand-up, which is like right there, audience, that's all there is. And then you've got that like studio audience thing where any of the bad stuff, like you said, won't make it to TV, but you've still got that some kind of audience thing. And then the other one for me is
but a lot of bad stuff does make it onto TV.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we all saw you on Mock the Week, don't worry.
Back again in June.
But you're
not Eshaan.
I'm not. That was back in June. Yeah, go on.
No one's back in
the
June.
sitcom thing where there's no audience and you kind of have to make it and then just hope that people laugh 6 months down the line when it eventually comes out.
Is there a question?
Well, that seems like the most detached from the audience.
All right, yeah, that is definitely the hardest one because, like you said, with a lot of TV stuff and even radio stuff, you do have a live audience. And it's nice that they edit out the bits that fall flat and stuff. But at least you know how well you're doing in that moment. So at least when it goes out on TV, there's no nasty surprises, right? You know on that night how well or badly you feel like you did. Whereas with acting, yeah, you're right. You're at the mercy of the director. And you're at the mercy of the writer, and you're at the mercy of the editor, and then even like the sound, the music choices, right? So like, there's so many layers that go into creating something for the screen that's scripted comedy that you just don't think about. So someone's writing a thing, then you got to workshop it, then you say it, and then the director decides which shots he wants to take, which ones he's going to use.
Yeah,
and then the editor. Everything is in the hands of the editor in terms of if they have good comedy timing, they can make something flat zing. Or a bad editor could make something really good for flat. So a lot is in their hands. And then you got the overlay of the music choices. And all that sort of stuff. So like I know the show that I'm in, Man Like Mobeen, gets a lot of credit for its amazing choice of music. So there's so many things that you're not in control of, whereas stand-up is the thing you're most in control of, which is why I think I like it the most.
So you live and die by the words that you say. What are you most looking forward to when all this is over? Like in terms of stand-up, is there a particular place you want to go to perform, or what is it?
Yeah, I miss those big Friday, Saturday night comedy clubs, man. Like the Glee Club, Up the Creek Comedy Store, Hot Water Comedy Club, those sorts of places, man. Like, I can't wait to get back on those big stages in front of 200, 250, 300 people who are out there for a good night, and then just tell some jokes, man. Like, and then amazing feedback if it's going well. And also interacting with the audiences, man. I miss that interaction. I hope I still, because I was getting quite slick, man. I was getting quite good at the to and fro. So hopefully that's not a skill that I lose over the next few months.
But I think that's a good point. That's the thing that a lot of comedians are worried about.
You're gonna have a lot of you'll have some gigs over a few, and by the time you get to your fifth, sixth gig, 10th gig maybe, you'll be getting back into the swing of things. Like, you're not gonna lose your career in those first 8-9 gigs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, hopefully someone will.
Some should.
Some absolutely should. Now, you're only as good as your last gig, right? So what was your last gig before that we went into lockdown? Do you remember?
So yeah, I was in Australia. So I got back. I've been in self-isolation quicker than a lot earlier than other people, because I'd come back from Australia. I had 9 flights over 10 days. So I took the sensible thing of like self-isolating, even though there was no advice when I got off at the airport. Bro, I thought I was going to get quarantined when I got to the airport. There was nothing.
Oh, I saw that on your Instagram. It was like, why the fuck is no one checking me?
First time a brown guy was like, why is no one stopping me at the airport? It was ridiculous. Anyway, but so I took the decision to self-quarantine and self-isolate. So that's what I've been doing. But yeah, I had some gigs. That's why I was in Australia. I had a couple of. So the last gig I did was actually with Dan Muggleton, which is a mutual friend of mine.
Yeah.
It was he ran a night, or he was hosting a night on Bondi Beach, and not on the beach, but like
in a venue on the beach.
So yeah, that was my last gig. Yeah.
And how did it go? I've noticed you didn't say anything about how it went.
No, it was good. It was Eshaan. It was fine.
Okay, fine. Okay.
Hey, guys! It was fine.
It was fine.
Guys, the gig happened. People were there.
You went
and I got on and got off.
What more could you want?
I did my allocated time. I don't understand what was that a cough? I don't understand what more you want from this conversation.
You're right, absolutely right. That's what I wanted to know from that. That's the answer I was looking for from that question.
A set took place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I shan't probe any further. Now,
no, it was interesting because you talk about new material. Like, I did 2 gigs that night. The first one was phenomenal, and the second one was good. Like, it was fine.
Okay. Yeah.
But the first one was really good because it was mainly Australian to the audience, and so I was doing a bit of comedy about Australia and about. I think the bit was about how my friends were saying to me why I'm not self-isolating. And I was like, well, I'm in Australia. If I give these other virus, why the fuck do I care? And obviously to an Australian audience, they found that funny. Whereas the second gig was mainly foreigners, like a lot of British people, a lot of Europeans.
This is the most racist. You went to Australia, you came out Australian.
yeah, but I mean foreigners. I mean like white foreigners. I don't mean the Chinese. I mean white foreigners. I mean expats. And I think so the Australia specific material didn't land as well because they didn't know whether they could laugh at it, because I was kind of saying, I don't care if Australians die, and they were like, oh, can you say that? Whereas to an Australian audience, they were like, we get what you're doing.
Yeah.
So,
okay, fine.
So that's why the first gig was better.
Okay, fine, fair enough. Well explained.
Thank you.
Now, quickly, for those of you watching on the live, some of you have already started commenting. We'll try to get to them throughout the show, and we'll try and do a Q&A at the end with Tez, so prepare for that. Someone's written in to say, for someone going to stand up, is it a profitable industry, or do you need a second job to supplement it? Tez?
You 100% need a second job initially. When I say second job, I mean stand-up is your hobby when you start. Yeah. Like you have a job, and then you do stand-up on the side. If you're lucky enough to get to a point where you're earning enough money from comedy, then you might make that leap of faith. But that's not going to happen for the first 5 years. Yeah. It's like being at uni. Like you have your undergraduate course, like you go through your 3 years, you learn how to do comedy. Then a couple of years where you might do your masters, where you're getting better, and then at the end of it, you're hoping that there's a job at the end of it. Like it takes those 4 or 5 years to actually learn how to do it.
So I'll give you my own personal experience. I'm now 6 years into comedy, and about 2 years ago, I quit work time when I was working in a bank to do comedy full time. But I did 2 Edinburgh Fringe festivals, and I was earning decent money. I've done some TV. I've got more TV coming, hopefully, if we ever do comedy on TV again. I'm doing some stuff on radio, but I've had to get a job 4 days a week to supplement, because it's just not enough. There's so many comedians out there now. The market's saturated. So if you are thinking of going to stand up, as Tez said, it's a hobby first. Don't be so reckless as to just jump in.
I mean, it's a hobby now for everyone.
Say again, Vittorio?
Right now, it's a hobby for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. This right now is a complete hobby. How would you normally write and test new material? Let people give us insight to how Tez normally does it.
So I write everything down. I'm not one of these guys who can just think stuff of like it percolate in his head and then say out loud. Like I need to write everything. I'm a visual person. Like I need to write everything down, look at it, maybe say out loud a couple of times, and then edit it and then try it on stage. There have been moments where I've been able to like write on stage, as in think of stuff on stage and then say it and going, oh my God, that really worked, and then write it down later. But I can't, if I think of a thought now and I don't write it down, tomorrow morning I'd be like, what was that thought? I had a thought about something. 100%. I wouldn't even remember vaguely what it's about, let alone like where the comedy was in it. Like, so I have to write every thought down and then expand on it. And I almost write it verbatim as I'd want to say it, and then try and then loosely learn it. And then when I'm on stage, it kind of comes out in my words. And as long as I get the punchline, and if there's any big comedy, what I think might be laughs in the journey, make sure I get them right. But then the rest of the words, like, you know, it might be a bit looser.
So you just write the idea down on a piece of paper. Do you type this out or do you write it?
So I use the notes app on this guy, and I write everything like I type everything up.
And has that changed from when you first started, the way you do it?
No, I've kind of kept the same method of just writing everything up on my phone, and then saying it out loud on a stage. And like I said, there's been the odd time where I've been able to write on stage. I can think of 2 bits that I kind of wrote on stage, but the majority of it has come from writing stuff down and then just learning it loosely and then trying it on stage. You
do a similar thing? Because you do, well, most of us are trying to do sketches now because we can't do live stand-up. Do you do a similar thing with that too? I
don't write it out verbatim, but I write down the head, like a storyboard it, and I write down every beat, and then I make sure I hit, and then I give it. So the first couple of sketches I got my sister to film me. So I sent her the thing on WhatsApp, and I was like, if I miss any beats, just let me know. And then we did like 3-4 takes, and then it was fine.
Has she enjoyed it? Has she enjoyed being your?
Yeah, she's enjoyed the process, man. It's been interesting for her, like to see how it's made. So I had the first 2 sketches I had my sister behind the camera, and then my niece and my nephew also sat in the room just watching. So that was quite fun.
And did they laugh or no?
Yeah, they did. There were moments where they like really muffled their laughter because I was like, "This is gonna come up on you can hear it." So, yeah, that was nice.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
okay, so because we can't kind of do, we can't go in front of audiences and test out our material and stuff. We thought what we try and do is give you an opportunity to like talk about some ideas that you've had either previously or during this time or whatever, and then Vittorio and myself can try and help form those ideas or just see what happens because. What comedians tend to do is we shoot the shot, don't we? We just kind of see what we've got in our brains, throw it out there, and then other people start helping, and suddenly you've got an idea formed.
Yeah, completely. Okay, so I've got a lot of. I'm just gonna do this. So I've got my notes app open, so I can go through it. Let me shrink you guys a little bit.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool.
In the meantime, if there's any other questions, what's your strategy when you go to places like Australia? How do you do jokes related to their culture? What's the process there?
I mean, we're quite lucky in that Australian culture is not that different from British culture. So there's not really a lot. There might be a couple of references to update, but actually it's probably not all that different. And also when I was there, I was doing the shows I was doing. I got taken up by a very good charity called Penny Appeal. And so it was mainly catering to a Muslim audience. So it's kind of more observational humor that is universal among Muslims rather than universal amongst everyone. So it wasn't like I was the last 2 gigs I did were like mainstream comedy gigs, but the tour before that was like mainly to like as I said, like a Muslim audience.
I did a gig in Bangladesh once.
Oh yeah, how was that?
Well, so here's the thing. So I went to do the gig and I thought I'm going to steer clear from anything religious based or anything sexual based, right? Knowing what I know about the country. And they asked me to open the show, which I thought was a bad decision. But and it soon transpired that it was a bad decision because they didn't laugh very much. But I did half of it in Bengali and half of it in English. Anyway, I did my set, kept it as family friendly as possible. Then the guy who obviously knew the audience came on and said in Bengali he did a joke about how he went to Calcutta and ended up watching anal porn. And do you know what anal porn is in Bengali?
God, no.
Anal porn, right? So I was just like, okay, so now they're talking about.
Wow.
So it was just, I think, yeah, you can try your best, but sometimes you might just not know the comedy culture then exactly where they are. So I think in Bangladesh at the moment, they find smut very entertaining. So it's not something that I'm very good at doing, but anyway, that was my experience.
There you go. That's something to know. Next time I go to Bangladesh,
Yeah.
I'll just whip it out.
Yes, literally on stage.
Yeah, be like, comedy, right?
Comedy. Right. So have you got your notes up then?
Yeah.
Right. Is there a particular joke that you want to try and workshop? Let's see if this works. We have no idea if this will work.
Okay, so I've got...
What might happen is Tez might throw the idea to us. We start giving him ideas. He's like, actually, I don't think this is going to work.
Right, let me stop you there. Next idea. Okay, I've got just one sentence here written that says, "I eat white people food the way they go to third world countries." I'm trying to remember what that means. And the line underneath that says, "Ah." So I think what I was trying to say was, you know, the way white people go to third world countries and take pictures of things really patronizingly. I'm like, oh, look at this well. Yeah. I think that's how I eat white people food.
Yeah, it's like a charitable action.
Pasta. Oh, look at pesto. Oh.
But you chose an Italian food, though, which has got quite a good cultural...
I know. Clearly, I don't know much about food in it, but but I think that's where I was going with that.
Is there something in?
It's not even half formed. It was literally a sentence.
Is there something in like likening to like so it's less developed countries versus less developed palates?
Oh yeah.
So there's like
third world. Go on, sorry, go on.
No, I disagree with that because I think in third world, I hate the word third world, but in third world countries, the food is richer, isn't it? Surely, because there's spices and everything.
That's what we mean. So, like in the Western world, they're seen as developed countries, but they don't have developed taste buds.
Okay, right, not as developed.
So it's inverted.
Yeah, they've got third world tongues.
Nice.
Well, maybe not third world tongues again, because it's.
But you're inverting the idea of what third world means, right?
Means, yeah. So the.
So Asian.
You can't stop us. It just when we
here's the light bulb and it's been screwed.
Okay, so but the thing is that the punch needs what's the punch there? So you've already got the initial idea that actually when you eat...
it's the idea. So I need a joke. This is how material is written, though. This is the process.
This is the process.
Come up with an idea, and it might not go anywhere.
Yeah, but is the punch maybe that in Western countries the main food that has the most taste is the one that they've taken from the third world? So here's the curry.
Yeah.
Right. So you go through some of the food. You're like, oh, shepherd's pie. What's the other pie? Cottage pie.
Lancashire hot pot.
Yeah, Lancashire hot pot.
Yeah, fish and chips, all that crack.
And then you hit, a lamb madras. Actually, that's maybe that's what's going.
Yeah, nice. I'll write that down.
But is it that you feel bad for people that they have to eat the food? Because when they're doing it, they're taking the pictures to show everyone that they're good or that the other people are poor. Why are they taking the photos?
Yeah, so I guess if you're like one of those tourists in Africa or parts of Asia or wherever, where you're going, oh yeah, look at me helping whatever. Yeah, I guess it's like, oh yeah, look, I'm helping the food industry in Britain by having, I don't know, there's something.
So okay, maybe there is something in that, and as an Asian guy, the fact that you're willing to eat bland food in a bid to help prop up the British economy, maybe like after Brexit or something, we probably have to eat more British food anyway.
Yeah.
And maybe you could be the poster boy for eating bland food because that's the only way. Because if we can't...
It's a bit goodness gracious me territory. That's the only thing.
Yeah, 24 plates of chips.
Yeah.
Do you know that sketch, Vittorio?
I know. I watched a documentary about Goodness Gracious Me, but I haven't actually seen the show.
Yeah, it's more our generation because you're quite young.
That's true. I'm very, very young and handsome.
How old are you, Vittorio?
23.
Fuck off. So I hadn't even started comedy then.
Yeah, we have stuff to say.
I look
Ooh,
forward to
I'll play
passing you on
classical
the way,
music.
Go.
Ooh. What's your favourite instrument, Vittorio, very quickly?
Out of like the ones I can play,
Which
Sure.
is the triangle and the cymbals.
like timpani, probably of the percussion instruments.
A what?
Do you know like the bum 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 bum? That one.
Ah,
A
the drums.
drum.
The roll of the R was so disrespectful.
Drum.
A drum.
The drum, eh? You play the drum, eh?
Drum cheese.
Big tabla. You know?
Inu kende drum.
No, tabla, big tabla, na.
Jaha. Tol nu tol marda.
He has no idea what's
I
happening.
don't know what's happening, man.
We're mocking you in another language. That's
I
what
love
we
it.
have.
Do you reckon you've got some steer on that gag then, do you reckon?
Yeah, no, it's something to think about for sure, definitely.
That was very diplomatic.
No, I've got another one for you.
Hey, go on.
Yeah.
This one I've called Having My Cake. And I'll read it. This one's a bit more developed, so I'll read it actually.
Okay.
I love being British and Pakistani. A British national Pakistani, which is what I am, a BNP. It means I can have my cake and eat it too. When people are like, "Oh, you're British, yeah? Oh, what about the British Empire? What about all the awful things that they've been responsible for? All the deaths that Vittorio was on about, yeah? What about all that stuff, yeah? Ain't that wrong, mate?" And I'd be like, "Oh yeah, that does sound quite wrong, but my grandfather, he didn't get to Britain until the late 50s, so he didn't really contribute to any of that stuff." All right. Oh, well, you're from Pakistan, you said, right? Well, what about in Pakistan, the way they deal with minorities and the way they don't take violence against women very seriously? What about that? I'm like, "Oh, yeah, but I'm British, so." And then
Not my problem.
British, yeah? Well, what about when Britain invaded Iraq? The Iraq War led to over 1 million deaths. Like, you were in Britain. What about that? I'm like, yeah, that was really bad. Over 1 million of my Muslim brothers and sisters killed. Heartbreaking. Oh yeah, you're Muslim, yeah? What about all that Islamic terrorism? Yeah? That's bad, isn't it? What about that? Like, yeah, that is bad. Again, the biggest victims of that are my Muslim brothers and sisters, so, and the reputation of my religion is horrific. All right. What about the British Pakistani grooming gangs in the north of England? What about that? Oh shit. What I would say about them is, so you know how a lot of those guys came to this country in the 70s and 80s, and we now know because of Operation U-Tree that was a golden age of paedophilia in this country. Maybe that was their way of integrating.
That's such a good premise.
Ta-da!
Just trying to fit in with white culture.
It takes a while to get there, but it's worth it.
And then if it gets really awkward, I'm like, I don't understand the term having my cake and eating it. Like, why would you not eat your cake if it was given to you?
I don't understand that phrase at all.
I don't understand that phrase at all.
I don't understand it. Like, if it's your cake, why would you not eat it?
But maybe it's because you're having the whole cake. It's like greed, right?
I think I was reading. I think it means it's kind of like Schrodinger's cat, right? You can't have your whole cake and eat it too. I think that's what it means. It's like Schrodinger's cat.
I don't get there.
You can't have a whole cake and also be enjoying cake. I think that's what it means.
Yes, you can. I've done it.
No, but you can't. But then you haven't got a cake anymore.
I think that's what it means.
Okay.
Because as soon as you remove some cake, it's no longer a whole cake.
It's no longer a whole cake.
Yeah, I think that's what it means.
Okay. So that joke is excellent. Like, by the time the whole premise of integrating with the height of pedophilia in the 70s and 80s, that's really funny. What's the bit that is that something you're struggling with, or you're
No, I wrote it like 2 months ago, so like I've not had a chance to say it on stage. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just,
yeah.
I just thought I'd get your
Do you know what I mean? So you start with British, then you go to Muslim,
Pakistani.
I think.
So
Pakistani,
I went British, Pakistani, the Britain invaded
Muslim,
Iraq,
yeah,
then Muslim,
Because it was
and
going
then
chronologically, wasn't
and then
it?
Pakistani again.
yeah,
So, yeah, because the thing is, the build up is worth it. The payoff is worth it. It's up to you to
yeah.
The
decide.
punch
I
is
guess
so
I've gone
good.
chronologically from the empire to
Fine.
Pakistan's whatever the society to
Yeah,
Britain invading Iraq to terrorism, and then
and then
yeah,
yeah.
a grooming
What
gangs.
The
What do you
only
think,
bit that
Vittorio?
was a tough sell for me was the bit where you were saying about the terrorism stuff, where you're like, oh yeah, that affects my Muslim brothers and sisters as the reputation of the religion. Is the thing not to just revert to back to you being British and it's innocent British people being affected by it?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
Just because that's an easier sell as like you being on whatever side of it.
And that's a good opportunity for you to highlight that. Yeah, your Muslim brothers and sisters are affected, but also you see your own British brothers and sisters.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
for the brand of you, saying British brothers and sisters, I think would have a lot of cachet.
yeah, yeah. That's nice.
So it's probably a nicer bit than. But what I like about it is because what you're very good at is adding funnies in between in the setups. So for those listening who are new to this stuff, so what a lot of comics like to do is be like building some laughs before we get to the big punch. And with that joke, what it's done is it's serious. So actually, you're like, I'm being pulled down. The thing you were saying earlier of just you can see them get moving further and further away, and then you yank them back in with that gag at the end.
I think that's the thing that is like a trademark of mine. Like really, and the punchline has to be really strong for this technique to work. Is you draw them in to something quite serious where they're going, where is this going?
Yeah.
Because this seems like it's getting quite heavy, and then bam, you hit them with something, then they're like, whoa, okay. It's like almost like a roller coaster where you're slowly going up.
Yeah.
And obviously the best roller coasters go up really slowly.
Yeah.
And then you go wham. Whereas the shit ones going like this.
Yeah.
How long did it take you for you to realize that that's kind of a trademark of what you do?
I think I might have just thought of that now.
Revelations.
No, honestly, because I think I kind of just I think I just like that is. I mean, it's not every single bit that I write, but quite a lot of bits that I write have those big punchlines with the big laugh at the end,
like a big punchline.
Yeah. But the journey is quite. You're going, where is this? Like almost going. This better be fucking worth it.
Yeah.
What was interesting for me is I thought there was like a really great like false ending to the joke where I thought the punchline was just going to be you being stumped, being like, oh shit, and that was the end of it. But then when it like unveiled that it was like we were just trying to integrate, I was like, bro, like it fully like caught me off guard. I was like, what the fuck, where'd that come from?
Nice, thanks man.
Because when you've done it, is that do you get a laugh when you go like shit?
Yeah. I think it's differentiate. Along the differentiate between the two characters enough. The character going, what about this? What about that? And then me being on this side. Because what I'm not good at, and Isha knows this, I'm not very good at voices. So if I was someone who was really talented voice work, like I would make this guy like really something like some sort of regional accent kind of guy.
But what about this? What about that? And then
Whereas this guy would be a lot more just well me. So kind of give this guy some sort of heightened persona, but in terms of voice, I have to work a lot more to make sure that people know to differentiate between these two characters.
And also, this is one of the challenges, right? Because we're not on stage, you can't work out whether that is mic technique or whether you physically move yourself to one part of the stage and walk over. Because
I mean, it doesn't have to be. It can just be this.
Yeah, just to lean on the mic.
Even that is enough, I think.
Yeah. But also, I quite like the idea of you trying maybe just walking a couple of steps either side to build the tension. Because as you walk, they're going to be like, what's the next thing that this person is going to say?
Oh, that's nice.
So it might be, I don't know, it might be worth trying. Let me just quickly go on to see. And Anon, whoever Anon is just asking questions.
Oh, smashing it, man. All over it.
How do you work on your big punchline? Does it come naturally? Do you tell your jokes to other people when you're starting out or try and fall in comedy clubs? Well, Tez, I'll let you take that.
I never tell my joke. I never do this. So I always do because I have a lot of faith in my writing. So I always everything that I write, I want to test to a real audience,
Mm-hmm.
because your friends, even your best meaning friends, are not a real audience. They're either too nice or too harsh.
Yeah.
You cannot get a gauge of how well something is, and also the way you perform it will be differently in front of a live audience to when you perform it, or not even perform it, to say it to your mates or whatever. So yeah, I never do the thing where I test stuff on family and friends.
Yeah.
Just to answer that question, thank you.
Yeah, I never ever test anything on my family and friends. I don't even rehearse really. So like my method is like I have the idea and I just normally work it out on stage. I know where I want to get to, and I just see how the words come out. I never write anything down. I've never written down any of
Then
my
how do you remember your stuff then?
I record it. So I record my stuff, and then on my way back from the gig, I listen back to it. And
See, I never got into that habit.
Of
Oh,
recording.
really?
Even now.
You just don't record any of your stuff.
No, I just got I think I'm very on stage. I'm very in the moment. So I kind of follow. Like I have I'm almost like I have the guy on stage. I have the guy, like there's three of me on stage. There's the guy performing. There's the guy underneath working out what's coming next, or working out how to react if something is happening in the room. And then there's the other guy who's kind of almost recording everything and going, okay, well that worked. That didn't get bigger laugh today, did it? Why was that? And so I've got these three personas. This the Trinity of Tez. I've literally just thought of that now. So this has been so good.
This is why this is so useful. This
it's so useful. This shit I'm coming up with. The Trinity of Tez. They're the three people who are performing who are on stage with me.
Quickly write down the Trinity of Tez, because there's something about the Holy Spirit and all that stuff that is very much Tez's brand to talk about this kind of stuff.
That's interesting, because I find recording it allows me to like switch off that one that's trying to like make notes on stuff in the moment, and it allows me to be more like with the audience, and like rather than analyzing what's happening, I'm just trying to work with what's going on, and then I know later on the walk home or on the tube I can make notes on everything.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's whatever. I mean,
for sure.
Like the times that I've actually seen myself back and then gone, oh, like I had an awful tick. Probably about 2 or 3 years in, actually, where I was saying right at the end of everything. I mean, a lot of probably do this. So, and then I went there, right, and then what happened was right.
I've said right a couple of times,
and then she said this right, and then that happened right, and then I didn't know I was doing it, and I watched the performance, and I was like, oh like I was distracted to the point of it was maddening to me.
Yeah,
I was like, because I was like, no one could possibly enjoy this now because I say right like a comma.
Yeah, I found it really like revelatory when I started putting out clips and adding subtitles to stuff that I'd done, because you have to type out every word that you're saying on stage. I was like, oh my god, this is like, there's so many words that I just don't fucking need to say.
What was your main one you kept saying?
I kept saying, do you know what I mean? And like,
do you know what I mean is a big one. That is such a big one.
Do you know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
It's
my
so
one
needy.
was definitely right. What was that, Vittorio?
It's so needy to be like, do you guys know what I mean? Like, it feels like you want like be like kind of like vindicated. You're like, validate me. It's like, oh.
Help me. On top of all the validation I'm seeking already by wanting you to laugh at
exactly.
But right is kind of in the same territory as well. It's a question mark, right?
Yeah, so right. Yeah. Similar kind of thing. Right, now look, I've just said it then. So we've got 10 minutes left. Are there any other bits that you want to talk through?
Let me have a look
before we get to the Q&A.
I think I kind of knew that one was like, I haven't done it a lot on stage, but you know when you get a feeling when you've written something.
Yeah, you're like, this is going to bang.
I think that's going to work.
If you're on the live, please, we're going to do a quick Q&A. Any questions? Some of you have been good. Anon especially has been very good with the questions you've been sending.
I've scrolled back a little bit. There's a few that we missed that we should come back to.
Okay.
Let me do this one bit and then we go to that.
Okay.
So, do you remember? I mean, I probably guess Irish parents might be similar, but Eshaan, you definitely know this. Is when we were younger and we'd get into trouble, what would your parents say?
What, if we were in public or at home?
No, just say you got in trouble at school. Say you got shouted at by the teacher or something, or say you got into a fight or whatever, and you came home and was like, "Oh, this happened." What would your mom say?
She'd probably hit me.
Right. She'd have said, "What did you do?" Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She would have hit me, or because
Yeah.
she assumed I did something wrong.
So it's the same thing. Like, like, never got in trouble, whether it's at school or outside or whatever. Or if I got into a fight or whatever, it'd always be like, "What did you do?"
Yeah.
And so so I'll just, again, this is just literally a note of that written that I've not developed. It's an allegory for modern times where white nations don't ask, "What did we do?" when they get in trouble.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
when something happens, like it could be a terrorist attack or something like that, they never ask what, like, they're almost like they need an Asian parent saying, "What did you do?"
Yeah. Britain needs an Asian parent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Like the United Nations needs to be an Asian parent saying, "Yeah, but what did you do?"
What did you do first? I think basically the thing that I was struggling with is where the link was between having an Asian parent and the behaviour of England, and perhaps the hook could be that our chancellor at the moment, who's Asian, he's in charge of all our money, and actually we perhaps need to go a bit further and I don't know, because that's the bit that I was
But that could
struggling.
be that could be the hook, right?
Yeah. So the hook could be about how you like Rishi Sunak.
Do I?
I mean, or whatever. I don't know. Do you?
I don't hate him.
You don't dislike him, but his voting record is
I don't
terrible.
dislike him. But yeah, he's handled this very well.
You reckon?
I think so. I think. Well, to get, this is not about this now,
Yeah,
but
no.
I think everything they've done reactively has been really good. They should have been proactive, and if they'd been more proactive, they would have saved a lot more lives.
Yeah, 100%.
But the things they've done reactively, I think I can't really fault, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, fine. We can talk about that another time.
Although apart from the NHS ventilators through the EU, they should have done that.
They should have done that, which Matt Hancock said that they did do. Anyway, this is not that podcast. The only other thing I had about the "what did you do" thing is the notion of victim blaming.
Yeah, that's what
Yes.
I was thinking.
So there's something quite.
But that's what our sorry, go on.
No, go on. That's what our parents did.
That's what, yeah.
Oh, that's a funny angle. To be like,
Yeah.
my mum's a victim blamer, where I would get in a fight at school and she'd be like, "Yeah, but what did you say?"
And you could be like, "Mum, I got stopped by the police for the 7th time, stopped and searched," and she's like, "What were you wearing?"
Yeah.
That is true. If I got stopped by the police, Mum would be like, "What did you do?"
Yeah, 100%.
100%. 100%, that's what would have happened. I once got over by a car. It didn't do a lot of, like, I literally got back up and ran. They kind of like push. It must have been going like 10 miles per hour. It pushed me and I fell down. And I ran home and I didn't tell my mum because I knew I'd be in trouble.
Yeah, that's mad, isn't
this
it?
is, man, when I had my first operation for my ear to get my hearing aid put in, so I came out of my general anesthetic. My mum was holding my hand, and I woke up and I kind of pressed her hand to let her know that I'd come out of my general anesthetic. And I said, "Mum, I'm fine." She goes, yeah, I know you're fine." And I'm like, "Okay, it's not quite the reaction I was after. What's wrong?" And she goes, "Now you're deaf. You won't hear a single instruction I give you. It's really pissing me off." I'm like, "I'm in a 5-hour operation. Why are you having to go at me?"
That's hilarious. What did you do to get deaf?
The truth is, I ignored the fact that my ear was bleeding.
Who ignores the fact that their ear is bleeding?
This dickhead.
I was just like, "I'll be fine. It'll be fine."
Probably puberty or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I know I'm 24. I'm a bit of a late developer.
But yeah, I think there's something in that.
Yeah, I think I quite like the victim blaming angle, and maybe that actually England could do with a bit of victim blaming, but how you tread that line between what victim blaming normally evokes.
Yeah, because I'm gonna stay away from victim blaming in the realm of sexual assault and all that sort. Like, I'm gonna stay away from that because I don't want to. That's horrible territory that I don't want to go down.
Yeah.
But in terms of like, you reap what you sow.
Yeah.
That's definitely
that's
an avenue.
I mean, I do quite like the idea of, though, you being stopped and searching when we're asking what were you wearing. That I think that's quite funny.
That's nice. That's nice. I'll write that down.
I think that's quite funny.
Right, shall we hit up these questions?
Yeah, cool. Anon is going to go and
As to all of us, as you guys are from an ethnic background, Do you see it important to help the next generation ladder up, i.e., more British Pakistani / Bangladeshi in comedy?
/ Irish Italians.
Exactly.
Slash Irish Italians.
There's only one of me.
You go first, Tez.
I think I've been doing that. I'm always available for advice. I think a lot of it is like, I think. Okay, let me start again. I think what's frustrating sometimes when I get DMs is when people haven't done their own research. And so I'll give you, like very, very quickly, not to bore you, but like my story is I took my own initiative to find a comedy course. I took my own initiative to sign up to that. And I didn't discuss it with anyone. I didn't get anyone's advice. I just went and did it. And even every step of the way in stand-up until I got signed, I was kind of using my own initiative to make contacts, send emails, network, and all that stuff. So I think one is use your own initiative, and Google, man. There's this amazing tool called Google, which answers so many questions that people have. Because the one thing that frustrates me, and I always up for helping people, but one thing that frustrates me is if people ask me questions that are easily available with a quick Google search. Because I'm like, because sometimes I guess about like I have to Google the answer to the question you're asking me. And as a busy person, like things like that annoy you. And when you start getting annoyed, you're less willing to help people. I don't want to do that. I want to help people as much as possible.
Yeah.
But all I can do is give you advice. Like I don't have my own production. Well, I do have a production company, but not one that's making anything at the moment. So I can't really give people opportunities in the way that I'd love to in the future. All I've got is advice. And a lot of that advice is already available because I do a lot of stuff. I do a lot of podcasts. I do a lot of interviews. So there's probably a lot of good stuff in that, as well as people like Eshaan and Guz and stuff. I've done that as well.
Would you say that there's a particular or specific focus that you have on trying to help British Pakistanis necessarily, or no?
I think the message that I want to do is actually to parents of young British Pakistanis, Asians in general, Muslims as well, looking at what the wider diaspora is. Don't stop your kids from pursuing a hobby in the arts, which might lead to a career. That would be my advice to parents, because a lot of it, kids are smart. Kids figure things out. Kids will come to you when they need, like, when they've reached a glass ceiling and they're like, I can't get past this thing. What do I do next? Like, we see the stuff that they make on TikTok and Instagram and all that. They don't need our help. It's that sort of intermediate group between like 18 and 30 are the ones that kind of ask for a lot of advice and stuff. And so I say, do what a kid does, like use your initiative in it. Like, honestly, I'm here for advice. But if that advice is freely available and easily around, then I kind of get a bit annoyed.
Yeah. Well, Medina Said has written, Tez helped me. I asked his advice about going on a course. He said yes. And it pretty much changed my life. So there you go.
The system works.
System works. Vittorio, do you have a view on this? Do you want to help other kind of
other Irish people? Yeah, I get that. And I've spoken a lot on like my podcast about kind of, there is within a lot of English people like an anti-Irish sentiment or like stereotypes negatively, and like it's a tough one because we're not like the most oppressed. We're not like making headlines for being like an oppressed group or like a minority in like a lot of the time.
We took the heat off you.
Yeah, you got it, man. But it's like it's that thing where like you want to help people, but I was speaking to someone about this recently where the worst thing is if you like recommend somebody to a comedy club and go, you should book them, and then they go up and die on their ass. Like that makes you look bad. Like your recommendation is super, super precious. And it's hard to tell people to be like one of your friends or whatever, to be like, look, I don't think you're ready for that.
Yeah, it's hard.
Whereas they're one of your friends, so you'd love to help them, but you don't want to make them or you look bad by putting them somewhere that they're not ready for.
It's a bit like what Tess said, is you've got to earn the right to get the help, support, and advice that you're looking for. You know, if you've done your 5 minutes, done your 10 minutes, and you've really built something good, and you're confident that you're funny. And me, in terms of helping people from British, Pakistani, Bangladeshi communities, I'm always open to help anybody, but I'm particularly, I don't know if I specifically am focused on someone being British, Pakistani, British, Bangladeshi, or whatever. Really, for me, I'm actually a little bit, I guess, a bit more passionate about people, helping people from working class background more than anything. So if you're a white working class dude, I'm happy to listen to you and give you some advice
Yeah,
about trying to negotiate this.
I hear that.
Because the intersection between and the upper echelons of comedy, and I'm one of those people too. I'm privately educated and I've had quite a privileged life. I get that, but I also grew up, very. My dad was a minicab driver for a large part of my life, so I grew up close to that stuff, and I know I've worked hard to get to the place that I've got to, and negotiated those bits. And the thing that I find rewarding is to give back to people who may not know how to negotiate those paths. And it's just a bonus if you happen to be Pakistani, Bangladeshi, or Chinese, or whatever else,
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I mean, similarly, when I got the 10 o'clock show, I made sure that I had working class representation from the north, like people like Adam Rowe, Sophie Willan, Phil
Yeah.
Ellis, in my writing room as well. So I always make sure that when I do have the opportunity, that I am able to like help people that I want to help, which is working class communities.
One thing I will say definitely on this podcast is that Tez is one of the few comics out there, I would say, who has put his money where his mouth is. There are a load of comics working now, myself included, who can look back to Tez being a very important point in their career where Tez has just handed out an olive branch, whether it be a writing opportunity, tour support, whatever it might be. Tez, within whatever he's capable of doing at that moment, has always done it. And I've no doubt that as he gets more successful and his production company grows, more and more people will reap the benefits of that.
Thank you, bro.
So that's from the heart. Right. Good. I thought that was fun.
That was really good.
I thought it was a good workout. Those of you who are on the lives, you can follow all of us. Someone actually wrote and said, "What's going on? Is there really only 20 people here?" And he's right.
It is what it is.
But it's also like, this is just the people watching live. It's going out as an audio podcast. It's going out as a full-length YouTube thing. Clips will come out
in your face.
So it's like, fuck you, different Anon. I assume all the Anons are different.
I think Anon might be a person.
I don't know. It's one of those funny names.
No, why would he ask 20 questions and then go, "What's going on?"
Yeah, exactly.
But you can follow all of us.
Our Instagrams are in the description of this video.
Yeah, so follow all of us and see what we're up to. Tez, thank you, man. Thank you for being our first guest on Doing Bits.
Oh, thank you for having me, man. I would heartily recommend this to other people.
Please do, man. Please do. I think it's just nice to be able to talk about this stuff,
Yeah, it was nice to look at those bits again that I hadn't looked at for a few weeks.
And my favourite gag was definitely the parallel with 70s, 80s pedophilia. That was very, very fun. I didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming. That was excellent.
And they didn't. Unfortunately, the young girls didn't either.
And on that, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Doing Bits with Tez Ilyas.
Have fun, guys.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace.
Walaikum. See you later, bro. See you later. That was great. Right. What do we do next?
Offline?
Oh, offline.